I've got the timing chain cover pretty much cleaned up. I've got all the sealing surfaces cleaned. Got a new gasket, new O-ring there on the back side where the pickup tube connects to. I've got a new seal on the front. I think I may clean this up a little bit just to make it look a little bit better. And also, take a look at the engine. Alright, I was able to get the new timing chain guide on the top. We got new shoes on the left and right. We got the new chain tensioner. Did a little cleanup on the inside just to get rid of some of the gunk, and then also have all the gasket surfaces cleaned, both sides. And then I started cleaning the gasket surfaces here on the valve cover. So I'll get those finished up over the next day or so, and then I've got to go underneath the car, clean up the oil pan gasket mounting surface. Let's take a look at the pickup tube. I've got that soaking in parts cleaner. Let's see here. This is some pretty nasty stuff. Gunk parts cleaner, carburetor cleaner. And this has only been soaking for maybe about an hour or so. And it is almost spotless. And look at that. Look at that. I'm going to clean out the intake valves, or the intake ports, on my Envoy motor. As you can see, I've got the intake taken off, and there is a lot of crud in those ports. And I'm also going to clean off the gasket mounting surface up here on the valve cover area. I'm getting closer and closer to putting back on my valve cover, intake manifold, and buttoning everything up. Okay, I've got a couple things to get me started here. I'm just going to use plastic spoon, plastic knife. I've got a bronze bristle brush, and I also have just a plastic bristle brush. So I'm going to do my best to clean out all of those ports, and then I'll show you a close-up after I get one of them cleaned. Also got there's some brake parts cleaner that I'm going to spray, or that I'm going to use to clean. I'm not going to spray this directly into the ports, but rather spray it on my rag and then wipe that out. That's pretty nasty. Just reached back in there and just pulled out a huge ball of crud. It's a little bit better. I think it'll improve fuel efficiency to some degree. At least it'll improve, I think, the burn of the air-fuel mixture. So I'm going to clean all 6 of these the same way. Okay, I've got the cylinders, or the intake ports, cleaned out very, very crudely, but I took the shop vac and cleaned out, or scraped out all of the ports you know, with a plastic knife. And what I'm doing now is covering up the intake manifold, or covering up all the top end. I covered up the cables or the wire looms that were down below, and then what I'm going to do now is I've cut up these little 14-inch by 17-inch cloths. I cut them into quarters, and I'm going to tuck these into the intake ports. Yeah, those are still pretty dirty. Tuck these in here, and then I'm going to spray everything down with parts cleaner. Now I'm just going to take my brake cleaner and spray everything down. And this is also going to help clean off the mount or the gasket surfaces. Wipe everything down. I think this is a pretty effective way of cleaning. Just as long as you're careful and you don't get any gunk down into the cylinders. Okay, now I'm going to pull these cloths out just with a pair of needle nose, pretty as carefully as I can. All this dirty. And again, one more look at the intake side here. I did a little more cleaning on that. I wiped down the surface several more times and cleaned out the insides as best I could. Wound up taking my flathead screwdriver and reaching in and carefully scraping away I'd say a significant more amount of gunk that was built up in there. Okay, now I've got all of the gasket surfaces clean on the intake. Take a look at that. I just took some cloths with brake cleaner and a razor blade and just wiped down all of the surfaces. Again, this is all clean. All these mounting surfaces here. Everything is about ready to get put back together. Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday again to you. Today is a big day. I'm going to start putting the car all back together. Let me show you what I've got. Let's see, I have all of my parts here. I've got the new gasket on the valve cover. I have, well, I had my timing chain cover ready, and then if you remember, I broke the little piece to the gasket surface here, but I was able to get a new one in pretty short order. This is GM number 126-28565. So there it is. Brand new timing chain cover. I just need to put the seal in the front for the crankshaft. It already comes with a seal in the back. And the gasket mounting surface looks good. It is not broken. So there's the old and the new. And what I'm going to start with is actually the timing cover. I'm going to get a bead of silicone. I have Permatex Ultra Gray that I'm going to use. And then I'm just going to start working my way out. I don't know if you can see it. I do have to replace the low pressure switch here on the air compressor. That was broken at some point when I was taking it out. And then we'll get the differential put back in. I'll get the oil pan put on. I'll get the rack and pinion put back together. Get the valve cover put back on. And then it'll just be a matter of putting all the little bits and pieces back together. I also have to put on, can't forget the fuel rail. Have to put that on before the plenum goes back on. So let's get started. Read that. But all of the bolts that hold the engine front cover on need to be tightened to 89 pound-inches, and the small 7mm bolt on the cover, which goes in here, needs to be installed last. These engines, the 4.2 engines, have two versions of the timing cover. Mine has the second design version, which you just need to check your VIN number. If it has the letter S, it is the LL8 engine, which has the second design. There are two seal types. This is the type for the second design, which is part number GM 890-17622. And also the second design has a flat pickup tube mounting. It's pretty flat. The first design has more of a beveled edge and requires an O-ring. The seal kit that came with the front cover came with an O-ring that is used for the first design, but as you can see, it does not fit on this one. Alright, so the second design uses this flat washer on the pickup tube right here. So that just slides down over the pickup tube, and then this is bolted to the bottom of the cover just like that. Just put a light coating of that on the outside. Make sure that goes in the right way. Okay, that seal's in there nice and flush. How does that look? Careful not to touch any of the gasket area that you just worked so hard to put down. Now all of those have been tightened down to 89 plus or minus foot-pounds. I had a couple that were just over 90, 91, 92, but I'm okay with that. So that looks pretty good. The next step that I want to do is to go underneath and get the oil pickup tube put back on. There is my cleaned up pickup tube put on. Oh, that looks much better than it did when it came off. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, now I'm going to put a new bead of silicone of RTV sealant around the oil pan. It's going to be a little bit tricky since I'm doing it by myself, but I'm just going to take my time and get it on there, snug up the bolts, and then let them sit for a little bit, and then come back and tighten them all the way down, let that Permatex have a chance to cure for just a little bit.